what he's trying to tell us by continuing to do this dance. And now, making YMCA his anthem. Yeah, the stock market has lost $5 trillion in 3 weeks. Yes, Trump, he's the Ozempic of the economy. Wow, $5 trillion. Today, Greenland offered to buy us. There are...
Letting Trump handle the economy is like letting a toddler fly a plane, except the toddler might at least read the instructions. And Bill Maher, he's tearing into Trump's so-called financial genius with zero mercy. In this fiery takedown, Maher dismantles Trump's economic track record, exposing how his reckless policies sent the country into chaos. From favoring billionaires to botching basic economic strategies, Maher holds nothing back. Did Trump really think running casinos into the ground was training for managing a whole nation? Maher's punchlines are as sharp as ever, and trust me, they hit harder than skyrocketing inflation. Stay tuned. His next line might be the most brutal yet.
One thing we've known about Trump for quite a while is that in the world, the countries that we traditionally liked, like England and France, those kind of places, he doesn't really like. And the people that we traditionally didn't like Saudi Arabia and Russia, he likes. For example, there's I'm sticking with the Union, the former Soviet Union. Unlike some people, he always says thank you. Europe, your ancestors left for a reason.
If there's one thing Trump excels at, besides plastering his name on anything that doesn't move, it's acting like an economic genius. But Bill Maher isn't buying it. According to him, the only numbers Trump truly masters are the ones he fudges on his golf scorecard. And let's be real, even those are questionable. The moment Trump took the wheel, the economy didn't just stumble. It nosedived off a cliff, crashing harder than one of his many failed casinos. Maher doesn't just call him out, he breaks it down piece by piece, from reckless tax cuts for the ultra-rich to trade wars that backfired spectacularly. And just like every Trump venture, it's the everyday people who got stuck with the bill while he walked away claiming victory.
Let's talk about how the Republicans have changed. You say in your special, Trump got the White House again, but he's not going to get your mind. How's that resolution holding up?
Not that well. I gotta say it lasted. Yeah. I also said I wouldn't pre-hate anything, which is true. I didn't pre-hate, but boy, does the hate come around quickly. I mean, has it been only a month? Yeah.
It's been 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
I mean, I made a list. Like, here's what I already hate. Here's things I don't hate yet. There are things that, like, the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of this hellhole that it's been. Other people have suggested that by way of us taking it over. No. Starting a new American empire. No, this insanity of Zelensky as the dictator and
outrageous
this opposite day kind of shit with the Western Alliance. So that resolution is being bad.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Maher didn't just call out Trump's economic disaster. He put it under a spotlight and let the world see the mess for what it was. The so-called booming economy under Trump. More like a sugar rush from reckless tax cuts that left the country crashing hard when reality set in. Wages stayed flat, the deficit ballooned, and somehow, the guy who claimed to be a financial genius managed to add trillions to the national debt, mostly to help his rich buddies. It's almost impressive how badly he botched it. Trusting Trump with the economy is like putting a toddler behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler. You're just hoping to survive the ride.
Trump says, I like reading as little as possible. I don't need, 200-page reports on something that can be handled on a page. He's actually proud that he makes decisions without learning anything, which makes him the perfect president for a nation perpetually looking at its phone.
Trump kept insisting the economy was thriving during his time in office. And sure, it was doing well for hedge fund managers, big corporate CEOs, and anyone cashing in on MAGA merchandise outside his rallies. But for the rest of the country, it was a different story. Wages stayed stuck, healthcare costs kept climbing, and rent shot up faster than his ever-growing legal bills. Yet, in his eyes, everything was perfect, amazing, incredible, the best economy ever. It was almost like how he claims to be the fittest president ever, just moments before scarfing down a cheeseburger with his bare hands, like a raccoon raiding a dumpster.
Watch out for Canada, the quiet, polite neighbor you never suspect. I want you to cut dictators some slack.
Ma tore into the absurdity of Trump's economic plans, pointing out how this so-called business genius ran the country exactly how he ran his casinos, straight into the ground with a nice big bankruptcy at the end. This man lost money running a casino. A casino! That's like failing a breathalyzer test at an oxygen bar. It takes a rare kind of talent to turn a money-printing machine into a financial nightmare. And somehow, he brought that same brilliance to America's economy. The results? A skyrocketing national debt, rising living costs, and enough economic chaos to make even a seasoned stockbroker sob uncontrollably. Now, about those famous tax cuts, Trump promised they'd be a game changer for the middle class. Spoiler, they weren't. In Trump's world, middle class probably means anyone with at least one private jet. He handed out tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy like they were chips at a losing poker table, while the average American got just enough of a break to maybe afford a second helping of ramen. But hey, no worries. According to Trump, all that cash would trickle down eventually. And of course, Trump University was going to teach you how to turn it all around.
What he's trying to tell us by continuing to do this dance. And now, making YMCA his anthem.
In reality, instead of using their tax cuts to raise wages, corporations were spending their windfalls on stock buybacks. Meanwhile, regular folks watched their tax refunds shrink faster than a cheap t-shirt in the dryer. But don't worry, Trump made sure billionaires could keep sidestepping taxes, thanks to loopholes big enough to drive a gold-plated limo through. And let's not forget, those middle-class tax cuts, they weren't even permanent. By 2027, the average American will be paying more, while the ultra-wealthy keep raking in the cash. Classic Trump. Sell the dream, pocket the cash, and leave the mess for someone else to clean up. Bill Maher had a field day pointing out Trump's obsession with the stock market. In Trump's world, if the Dow Jones was up, the economy was thriving. But here's the thing, the stock market isn't the economy. That's like saying your Instagram likes determine your health. Just because rich people were making bank didn't mean everyday Americans were doing better. In the real world, wages stayed flat, healthcare was a nightmare, and housing was so overpriced, even monopoly players were losing everything. But Trump, he kept pointing to the stock market like it was the magic scoreboard, and when it crashed, silence. No acknowledgement, just a barrage of tweets blaming everyone else for the disaster. If there's one thing Trump's good at, it's shifting the blame for his own messes.
Yes, it turns out that the stock market has really kind of rejected the notion that if we turn on our trading partners, chickens would lay more eggs. I mean, when Biden was president, it was everything about the eggs, the price of eggs. We got to lower the price of eggs. And now Trump retweeted somebody last week who said, shut up about the eggs.
And then came the trade war. Oh boy, watching Trump try to negotiate international trade deals was like watching someone haggle over bootleg DVDs in a parking lot. Bill Maher had no problem pointing out that Trump's big fix for trade was slapping tariffs on anything that moved without the faintest idea of how they actually worked. Here's the thing, when you tax imports, American businesses and consumers are the ones who end up paying. It's like setting your house on fire and calling it innovative heating. But Trump sold it as a victory, and his supporters cheered. Meanwhile, farmers were losing their livelihoods, businesses were struggling, and anyone who tried to explain basic economics to Trump got that signature blank stare, like a goldfish trying to do calculus. Of course, no Trump economic conversation is complete without a mention of his favorite topic, himself. According to Trump, no one in history did a better job running the economy. Not Obama, not FDR, not even Alexander Hamilton, who literally built the country's financial system. Just Trump, the guy who couldn't make a profit selling vodka to Americans millions, the guy who bankrupted an airline, the guy who lost money running a casino. Again, a business where the house is supposed to win, but hey, sure, he's the financial genius of the century.
And Americans are like, but we need eggs. What else are we going to throw at the Teslas? But you know what? $5 trillion in 3 weeks, and we have only ourselves to blame. Trump said this would happen if we re-elected Biden. Oh wait, that didn't happen. No, this is happening because Trump wants to bring back manufacturing, and to get the ball rolling, he is manufacturing a recession.
Ma didn't hold back when it came to Trump's personal business ventures, which were about as stable as his spelling in a late-night tweet. Remember Trump Airlines? Yeah, you probably don't, because it lasted shorter than one of his press secretaries. Then there was Trump Steaks, the finest cuts of meat money could buy. If you enjoyed chewing on shoe leather, and let's not forget Trump University, where the only thing people graduated with was an emptier wallet and a crash course in spotting a scam. Yet through all this, Trump still insists he's a self-made billionaire. Never mind the millions he inherited from his father, the endless bailouts, or the fact that his talent seems to be losing money while somehow convincing everyone he's winning. He talks about business the way he talks about his weight, completely disconnected from reality, and Maher's had enough of it, because no matter how many times Trump brags about his economic miracle, the truth is clear. It was all smoke and mirrors, backed by a pile of unpaid bills.
What is he trying to tell us? And I'm not saying Donald Trump is secretly gay. It doesn't look like much of a secret. No. Okay. I don't think he is gay. Quite the contrary. I think the message to his manosphere is that he's so masculine that he can literally jerk off 2 guys at once while dancing to the village people and still be considered a masculine icon. I mean,
fast forward to the aftermath of Trump's time in office, and what do we have? A shattered economy, a skyrocketing national debt, and enough financial chaos to keep late-night comedians busy for the next decade. The so-called business genius who promised to make America rich again left office with record deficits, a weakened middle class, and a tax cut that mainly helped the ultra-wealthy, while the rest of the country was left scrambling to keep up with rising inflation. Bill Maher put it perfectly. Trump treated America's economy like a personal toy, something to break and toss aside as he moved on to his next scheme. His presidency was like a real-life version of one of his many failed business ventures. Make big, flashy promises, ignore the red flags, and when everything falls apart, blame someone else and walk away. The difference this time, instead of bankrupt casinos and fraudulent universities, it was everyday Americans who paid the price.
He plays Let's Spin the Big Tariff Wheel. Woo! Round and around she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. And every day, Trump puts these amazingly large tariffs on other countries, and when the countries respond with their tariffs, he acts shocked at their disrespect. How dare you do to me what I just did to you?
The best part? He still insists he's the one to fix everything he broke. That's like an arsonist volunteering to be the fire chief. Trump's out here pushing the same tired talking points, claiming only he can restore prosperity, completely ignoring the fact that the last time he was in charge, he wrecked the economy. It's the perfect con. Break it, sell the illusion that you're the only one who can fix it, and when it inevitably crashes again, rewrite history and point the finger at someone else. Meanwhile, his loyal base eats it up, convinced that the man who handed massive tax breaks to billionaires while their wages stayed flat is somehow their hero. It's a masterclass in political gaslighting. The economy is in ruins, and Trump's solution, more of the same reckless policies that got us here in the first place. But who needs facts when you've got endless slogans and scapegoats?
To mind? Yeah, I'm getting Donald Trump for my birthday. I keep saying, God, why? And then I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. The last 25 years I've been making fun of you on TV. That's okay. That's that little religious. You hated that too. I remember. Okay. All right.
Everywhere
So here we are, watching Donald Trump parade around like some kind of economic messiah, taking credit for every good thing that happened while conveniently ignoring the financial disasters tied directly to his decisions. He's out there rallying his base, promising another golden age of prosperity, like the first one wasn't loaded with record deficits, corporate tax giveaways, and a trade war that did far more harm than good. And while he brags about a booming economy, he conveniently forgets to mention how his reckless policies set the stage for disaster. Enter Bill Maher, armed with nothing but facts, sharp wit, and zero tolerance for nonsense. Maher has built a career out of calling out hypocrisy, and Trump's economic fairy tales could easily be the material for a never-ending comedy special. Maher sees through the bluster and the gaslighting, unafraid to point out the obvious. Trump's economic legacy isn't one of strength, but of smoke and mirrors. He reminds us of the skyrocketing national debt, the tax cuts that mostly help the wealthy, and the disastrous trade policies that hurt more American farmers and businesses than they help.
You were like taking people to task, as I think you should, for who like would boycott Donald Trump, and you said, but if he wanted to come on your show, you would have him on.
Of course.
Because you said it's important to talk to important people.
Yes.
But I would add this.
Yeah.
If you are going to have him on, he's a politician.
Yeah.
I know he's actually a game show host from Queens. But now he's the president of the United States. So if you're going to have him on, this is everybody, hold his feet to the fire.
You mean literally?
Oh, if you could. Would that
Trump's game has never been about reality. It's always been about the show. He's brilliant at turning failures into triumphs and rewriting the past, while his supporters lap it all up, convinced it's all part of the act. Bill Maher, however, has a front row ticket, popcorn in hand, calling out every wild exaggeration, boast, and outright falsehood. Because let's face it, if there's one thing Trump excels at, it's providing comedians with never-ending material. And if there's one thing Maher is a master of, it's making sure the world doesn't forget just how absurd the whole Trump economy experiment truly was. Through his sharp commentary and clever jabs, Maher holds up a mirror to the chaos, reminding us that the so-called greatest economy was really just built on a fragile structure of debt, deregulation, and deception. History has a strange way of repeating itself, especially when people fall for the same act twice. Maher, he's here to ensure we never forget how dangerous and laughable Trump's so-called economic genius really was.